So, welcome back to yet another video. In this one will be my fantasy team selection for round 4 of the Rugby Championship. Round 3 was actually pretty decent, to be honest. I thought Argentina would dominate more than they did. They actually lost by 1 point to Australia, who I think was on a crazy loss streak. So, fair play to them. I do think, and probably don't jinx it now, but I do think Argentina will come back with a win this week. It's Montoya's, their captain's 100th test, so I don't think they will want to lose for him. And South Africa, New Zealand, I actually thought it was closer than what it was going to be. I thought South Africa would probably dominate more. New Zealand picking up, 4 bonus point tries, which was actually pretty decent, especially with South Africa's defence. But again, I am back in majorities of South Africa to do a job over New Zealand again. But looking at the JG Rugby League on Superbru, top is still Jack Reynolds. He's almost reached the 500 mark at the moment. I actually did move up 2 places, so we're moving ever so slightly. But as I said before, I think if you want to keep moving up, then you need to get the try scorers. And hopefully I've done that with some of my transfers this game week. But outside of that, Lil Frey's Huge Snakes, strange name, but moved up 9 places. So a big week for them last week. But the trick is, can we keep doing it back to back and keep moving up those places? Not everyone will do it, but let's see who I've picked in my team for this week. As always, if you are new to the channel, then please subscribe. We do these fantasy videos, really whenever a fantasy cup or league pops up for rugby. I will be doing the Premiership Fantasy as well this year. Again, it will just be weekly videos on my team. So if you're keen to do that and join in, then subscribe, turn notifications on, and comment when you can. So, without further ado, let's just hop straight into it. I have made all 6 transfers this game week, probably because, I kind of looked at other people's teams, specifically in our league, and again, not to sound like a broken record, but the tries scored is really key. So I've just brought in, higher quality players. Budget actually was a stretch this week, but let's have a look at who I've picked. So starting off in the front row, I have kept it pretty much the same. Got Angus Bell, Julio Montoya, who I said is on his 100th cap, so I do expect him to have a good game, and Argentina overall for him, to be honest. Gajo is a pretty solid pick. On the bench, Alan Altoa just remains, and Cody Taylor, even though he did score a try and have some good points that I missed out on the bench last week, I am back in Montoya again, unfortunately. As for the second row, I've just gone all South African. Again, I expect them to dominate a little bit more this week in the pack. Obviously, with Etzbeth coming back and Dutoy moving back to the back row, it's just more of a same comfortable feel for South Africa. And with that, I've got Tupou Vai on the bench. He has been solid for me, but I think that the South African pairing will hopefully be better. On the back row, I have kept Bobby V on the bench. Bit like Cody Taylor, I did miss out on a few points. He obviously scored last weekend, but I have kept him on the bench. I don't really think I can bench Gonzalez, Dutoy, or Surveyor. Gonzalez was obviously a good captain pick last week, scored 11 points. This week he's my vice captain, and with Dutoy moving back to the back row, I have got him as my captain. He has scored an average of 14 to 15 points, which is actually very good. So if he scores his lowest points, which was last week in the second row, 11 points, that's still the best that Gonzalez did last week. So Steph Dutoy is just a big game player, and I expect him to be pretty much involved all throughout this week as well. Sarver, we know what he can do. Hopefully he can have a bit more impact and get a try or 2. As for halfbacks, I've brought Damian McKenzie in. Santi Carreras is obviously on the bench this week, so it's a pretty simple choice just to have D-Mac up. I think they probably need to go for a few more penalties as well to try and actually edge the game out. So I feel like Mackenzie this week will just get more kicking points. Also gone with Grant Williams. Off the bench last week, he actually scored 8 points, which was pretty decent. So expecting him to have a good impact as well. Jake Gordon obviously scored last week, but I am backing Grant Williams over him. In the centre, again, another one of my transfers. I've gone for Creel. I have benched Geordie Barrett, which might be a little bit of a risky play. Barrett is owned by almost 40% of people, whereas Creel is 33%. So I'm thinking if South Africa are to win, then Creel might get a few more bonus points. So that's the thinking behind that. Sinti, obviously just performing very well. Again, with an Argentinian loss, I do expect them to bounce back and hopefully rack up a few points or two. The back three, again, I've kept it pretty much the same. So backup kicker, because you have to pick one, is Colby. He hasn't scored too great this Rugby Championship, and he is owned by 41%, so that is quite high. I have used all my transfers. I'm just hoping he has a little bit more impact with Aronson actually not playing, so he might be the go-to. Jordan, I've kept because we all know what he can do. Obviously scored a 21-point haul against Argentina on his first start back. And then Mateo Carreras, well, I am just backing him again. He was on my radar for a captain pick, but I think that's a little bit risky given Argentina haven't performed too well just yet. And I have gone Jorgensen on the bench as well, which, thinking back now, maybe I shouldn't have used a transfer on him and rather on Colby. But that is my team. Do let me know what you think. I think going with Peter Steph-Totoy as captain is a pretty solid option. His lowest points scored was last week with 11 points, and I definitely take that this week. Colby, obviously picked by quite a few players. Maybe I could have gone with a differential in Jorgensen. Obviously I have picked him. He's picked by 2% of players. Would that be a risky pick over Colby? Not sure. Am I tempted? Yes, but also Colby is the safe pick. Let me know your guys' teams down in the comments as well. And if I don't speak to you in the meantime, good luck, and I'll see you all in the next one. Oh, and final thing, if you do want to join the league, you can still do so. Link is down in the comments. Welcome everyone, and I'm pretty sure it'll have your whole points total as well. So if you're keen, down below in the comments.